Are we live?
We are live. Hello, we're at Morling Down. I'm Jan, and that's Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim.
Pointing at Tim. Kim was going to be joining us, Kim Dawson, but she's unable to make it, so I've got my colleague Tim with me. So, sorry about the noise.
That's a good start, really loud motorbike.
Okay, let's just spin you around and I'll show you where we are. Okay, so we're at Morling Down Nature Reserve, which is managed by the Sussex Wildlife Trust, and it's absolutely lovely. There are some White Park cattle walking about, so they might appear in our video, but we're going to try and hopefully get butterflies mostly. Now, it's going to be tricky with a phone camera, but I will do my best. Tim's going to be a spotter, and I might shout butterfly names at him as we go along, but we'll do our best to get some pictures, and if we don't get close-up pictures, we've got a book with us to show you the pictures of what we see. Okay, so let's start walking. So we're walking from the Ringmer End car park. We're going to take you along the ride and then up through the chalk pits.
So the habitat we've got down here is we've got lots of these hawthorn bushes and some overgrown brambles and an emerging scrub, and we've got grass, long grass verges, and there's I don't believe it. It's landed on your leg.
Oh, look!
There's straight away we have Chalkhill blue on Jan's leg.
On my shorts.
Same colour actually. If it opens its wings, the Chalkhill blue is almost the same colour as your faded denim. So that's good. That's a brilliant start. This is one of the key butterflies we're looking for today, one of our target species on this site.
So I'll just carry this one round with me.
Just bring that with you, just for reference.
I did cover myself in Chalkhill blue pheromones before we left, so that could be it.
Oh, there it goes, there it goes.
Oh, goodbye, my friend.
That's a good start.
That's a great start, isn't it? So Chalkhill blues are a lovely butterfly. I thought we might see them on the cowpats. They like the minerals, don't they?
They do. I also maybe thought we could lick some salt off you. Some butterflies do.
Yeah, they like the sweat and stuff, don't they? What's this over here? Look. Is it Gatekeeper? It's too fast for me.
That might have been a ringlet.
That's a meadow brown. So yeah, apologies if you don't get to see the butterflies up close, but it is going to be, as I say, quite tricky.
Unless they just will land on Jan.
But I will try. We'll try and get them to land on each other. And then, we'll see what we find.
So this is quite nice down here, and then further up the hill we get on some really good chalk grassland, and we'll see lots more Chalkhill blues up there. That one's has just strayed off the chalk grassland and come down here. We've seen a couple down here.
So the grazing is really important on here for the chalk grassland, isn't it?
The grazing is very important indeed. You wouldn't have chalk grassland without grazing.
Robert's saying, let's see the cows. We will find the cows. We have seen them.
Look for the cows. We've got an hour. I'm sure we can find them again.
I can see butterflies flitting around in the distance.
There's plenty of butterflies around, but as soon as we start filming them, we're done.
I'll try and zoom in on some flowers. So we've got some marjoram here, which is quite good.
Oh look, here's a Chalkhill going down the path. Yeah, marjoram is a great, absolutely brilliant plant for butterflies and other pollinating insects. It flowers for a really long time, and it's got these flowers that they particularly like. They can get their proboscises in there and get the nectar, and it smells lovely too.
Yeah, it smells amazing, doesn't it?
It's like wild oregano. That's delicious. So I'm going to take some of that home and put that on my dinner tonight. The big patch of marjoram, not a single butterfly or...
It's because we said it was going to be good.
Yeah.
So we'll just walk a little bit further on. Ooh, I'll just fall down this dip.
Where are you going? Stop looking at the phone. So Jan and I are rangers for the South Downs National Park Authority, and we're celebrating wild chalk, aren't we?
We're celebrating wild chalk and the big butterfly count.
So you can see this path in front of us is quite white. That's because it's chalk. That's because the rock underneath our feet is chalk, and all of the South Downs, the ridge of the Downs that runs from Eastbourne to Winchester is chalk. The rock is chalk, and and the grassland that grows on it is very specific to the chalk that it grows on, because chalk is quite alkali. You get a certain range and range. Oh look, hold this. We've got a butterfly here. That's the meadow brown. It's quite a tatty one. So you'll find them in any kind of grass-rich meadow habitat like this. They're food plant of the caterpillar. Very important for butterflies is the food plant of the caterpillar. Oh, it's quite tatty. He's got a big tear in his hind wing there.
He's had a hard life already, that one.
Yeah, these butterflies, especially when they're flying through brambles and things, do tend to get raggedy quite quickly. But that one's probably a week or so old anyway.
It's not the most exciting to look at, is it, the meadow brown?
I mean, they're quite nice and they're fresh. But yeah, they are just brown. So they're probably our very most abundant butterfly in this country. Anywhere you've got a habitat like this or a meadow, you'll get meadow browns in the hundreds, and so, you know, they outnumber all the other butterflies put together in most instances.
Because they're a good generalist.
Yeah, because they're a generalist on a few species of common grasses, and yeah, they're very tolerant of range of temperatures and things. So we get a lot of those. Sometimes we get explosions of other species, but generally, if you see a brown butterfly flying around in the long grass, it's a meadow brown. But what we should have, another one that looks similar, well, there's two actually that can be confused with it, which we can look for along here as well, and they're the Gatekeeper and the ringlet. The Gatekeepers tend to go along the bottom of the hedges, so this is a perfect habitat for them, and the ringlets too, whereas the meadow browns will be more in the middle of the field.
Yeah, that's a good way of IDing them, isn't it?
That's a good start. The habitat is absolutely crucial, and what we're going to see today is butterflies that only live on chalk grassland. The Chalkhill blue, you can only find it on chalk grassland, because the food plant only exists on chalk grassland. Can you see a butterfly?
I can't see a butterfly.
We've had a heat wave for a week up until today, haven't we?
It was a bit stormy last night though, wasn't it? Maybe they've got scared.
It's slightly overcast now, but it's warm enough for butterflies to be out.
It's definitely warm enough.
Fly.
Nothing on the hawk's beard. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Is this a gate?
There's a
meadow brown.
Brown on the marjoram. So, butterfly, the adults need nectar. So that's not what the food plant is. The food plant is what the... Oh, that's a bit of a nice one. It's got the orange markings on the upper wing there. That's a... Can you zoom in on that? That's quite pretty, that one. In an understated way. They're not show-offs. And there's a marbled white flying over. Yeah, so anything they can get their proboscis into can potentially be a source of nectar for them. So the adults will feed on nectar, keep their energy up. They're not growing, so they're not eating, so they've just got this high sugar diet once they're adults, whereas the caterpillars munch and munch and munch until they grow big enough to turn into an adult, at which point they'll pupate and then transform from a creeping worm-like creature into these incredible flying beauties. Here's a skipper. Oh, I zoomed over the top of there.
That's way too fast for me.
Skipper, I think.
So we're going to head up into the... Oh, there's a white.
Oh, that's a battered looking one. That's a large white. And there's another white here. Look, this is a white butterfly. There's 3 species of butterfly it can be, and that is, I think that's quite a small, large white. The wingtips.
So very similar, aren't they?
Was quite black, which is a good indicator. They are quite similar, the large white and the small white.
And then they've got the green-veined white as well.
Green-veined white is a possibility on this site, but likely to be much less common than the other two. We get loads of whites. It's actually migrating to this country.
Sorry folks, the temperature is heating up and we're having trouble keeping the phone alive in the walks. Again? It's working now.
Oh, good.
Sorry, we lost you. Tim was just telling you about white butterflies.
I was saying that the white butterflies, the small white and the large white, numbers are boosted in this country in the summer by migrant butterflies which fly over the ocean. And unusually they come from Scandinavia in the north and come over from the continent. And so we have large numbers. So if you live near the coast especially, you can get quite large numbers of large white and small white. Now people often talk about cabbage whites, which isn't strictly speaking a species of butterfly, but both small white and large white will lay eggs on your cabbages.
Cinnabar moth?
Pardon?
Cinnabar moth.
Cinnabar moth. Oh yes. If you can see this on the phone, on the camera, then you can see this cinnabar moth flying across here. It's red and black, and it's a day-flying moth. Oh look, and there's a silver wire down here as well, another day-flying moth. Now that poses a question: what's the difference between a moth and a butterfly?
Not very much.
Some of the day-flying moths are actually quite colourful. You think of a lot of moths being sort of brown and drab. And I janded a moth trap this morning and found a few colourful ones. Here's a six-spot bonnet, another red and black one on this Marjoram. Very pretty. It's sort of, when they're fresh like that, they have this sort of blue sheen to the black. Catches the light as it moves around. So that's one of our day-flying moths.
See, we told you Marjoram was good.
My eyes go funny looking at it. So at the end of it, you might be able to see that the end of the antennae are sort of feathery and taper, whereas most butterflies have clubbed antennae. They have a little bulbous club at the end, and that's one of the ways you can tell the difference between a moth and a butterfly.
Cool.
That is very cool. Well, here we have a gatekeeper. We were talking about that. You can see the gatekeeper flitting around here. You can see he's got a lot more sort of orange panels in his wings than the.
This is testing my stalking skills.
Same colour scheme, but this one is a bit more orange.
It's brighter, isn't it?
It is. Two tend to be brighter.
In amongst the ladies' bedstraw.
They've both got those black dots with a white dot in it. The meadow brown has one white dot, and the gatekeeper has two white dots. If you look very carefully, so if you see one up close, that's your definitive way of identifying and learning the difference between the gatekeeper and the meadow brown. We go from the two white dots is a gatekeeper.
It's beautiful chalk grassland in this part.
This is getting good up here, isn't it?
And there's lots of butterflies, but they're so far away. I don't think you're going to be seeing them on the screen. I'll try and get in amongst it. See if we can film things as they fly ahead of me.
I'll show you a picture in the book.
It's marbled white.
Where are you going, Jan?
I'm just chasing butterflies into the chalk downland. Do you want to show them a picture of a gatekeeper?
I'm gatekeeper in my book. And then we can see.
As you can see, it's absolutely spectacular. So this site was a quarry from about the 1600s, quarried for chalk to make into lime.
There we go. Here's the gatekeeper. So you can see that
really
eye
see
spot.
those two spots.
That's got two spots, and on this page here is the meadow brown with the one spot.
And they're just a bit duller as well, aren't they?
Here's the ringlet, which is another brown one, which we should see today, hopefully.
Yeah, they're definitely around.
They tend to be along the hedges too, those ones.
I can see a marbled white, and there's another one there.
Oh yeah, there's a marbled white.
If you wouldn't mind just landing on me, that would be great.
That's another butterfly of high summer.
Being followed by a meadow brown.
We're surrounded by butterflies now.
So all this yellow you can see, there's ladies' bedstraw and there's ragwort. Ragwort's great for pollinators, so it's not a problem here.
Oh look, there's a brimstone on that dwarf thistle.
Oh yeah.
You can tell a brimstone straight away because of the shape of its wing. So you can tell it's not a white butterfly. Well, that one's very pale. The males are yellow and the females are more of a white colour, but they've got these scalloped edges to their wings with little points on. That's a nice... So that's the second brood. Brimstone is often one of the first butterflies you see in the spring. But they overwinter as adults. Most of our butterflies will overwinter as a caterpillar or sometimes an egg. But brimstone is one of the species that overwinters as an adult. So it can emerge very early in February or March because it overwinters as an adult and starts flying around. So you see that, and then that first generation produces the eggs, which are now hatching now. So that's the second brood, so to speak. So here's brimstone butterfly. That's the yellow.
Yes, very distinctively shaped, isn't it?
Possibly why butterflies are called butterflies, because of the yellow butter colour of the male brimstone.
I saw a clouded yellow here yesterday.
Oh, did you? Really? I'd love to see a clouded yellow. Clouded yellow is a sort of much more orangey yellow colour.
Sort of like custard, isn't it?
Custard. I'd like to see a clouded yellow. They do not overwinter in this country. The winters are too harsh for them.
Lovely little round-headed rampion there.
Yeah, round-headed rampion. Nectar.
We haven't come across the cows yet, sorry Robert.
Clouded yellow, if we see one, it will be fast and Jan will have to run very quickly and keep up with it and get a picture of it. They tend to zoom across the field quite quickly. They're another migratory species, so they come here in the summer and they produce a brood or two, so you get them actually breeding here and producing young, but they fail to overwinter. That's not to say with climate change they might not start managing to overwinter. There's certain species are now actually overwintering that haven't before.
It's a nice St John's wort there.
It's John's wort and a hoverfly and a marjoram.
So it might be worth, when we get to a nice spot,
another white one,
sitting.
Yeah, we can sit down. Get out of breath walking up this hill and talking at the same time.
You don't have to talk. But look how beautiful the flowers here are incredible, aren't they?
I love this.
That's
one of my
really well grazed
flowers. They're so pretty, aren't they? I like the way they've got these wide petals at the edges, so these are lots of little flowers, and the ones at the edges have these extended petals around the edges. Really pretty.
An absolute ton of marjoram there, look.
Yeah, a lot of marjoram. Well, this is typical of what happens when you clear scrub on chalk grassland, and you get this regrowth back. A lot of this in here is clematis, which would have been sort of growing up the bushes that were here, but it's been cut down because what we want is this chalk grassland that's on the right here, and not bushes, because the chalk grassland habitat is so precious and we can't allow it to get taken over by the bushes, and it relies on grazing, as we said earlier, that system, and if you don't graze a site, the bushes eventually take over. Oh look, here's a Chalkhill blue on a lump of poo.
That's what we're expecting.
There's two of them. You should be able to film them up close. So you can see the lovely pale blue colour of the Chalkhill blue there. It's unmistakable. If you're on chalk grassland and you see a blue butterfly that's that pale blue colour, it's a Chalkhill blue male. That will give you positive identification. You have to be on the chalk grassland though. Well, they can travel. You might get one.
They do like a poo.
But they do like poo. So the males will often come down and get minerals or salts from poo and puddles and Jan's gene. Poo and puddles and Jan's gene. How do I do it? Live. Do I press live? From live? No.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, we're back, are we?
We're back on mine. We're trying to set Tim's phone up as well because it just keeps getting too hot. I'm really sorry. There's a bit of a sun trap here.
Yeah. Oh, lots of clouds and a breeze.
Yeah, that's better. We've got a little bit of a breeze now.
So what was I saying? I was saying that the Chalkhill blues that you just saw on the poo are collecting minerals, and what they do is they pass those minerals to the female when they mate with them. She needs the minerals to help produce the eggs. Weirdly, it's only the males, so there must be some sort of selective advantage to that. So maybe she chooses a male who's got lots of minerals, who's a poo licker. And then, so the minerals that she needs then to produce the eggs are passed over, and she could. Oh, this is steep here.
Look at that view.
And there are quite a few butterflies that do this, as well as getting nectar from the flowers. They collect minerals from poo and muddy puddles and things like that, jams, dunes. So this is a nice bit of chalk grassland. Did you say this was a quarry jam? Yeah,
so I think dating from about 1600, they used to quarry the chalk out of here to turn into lime, which would then fertilise fields.
A lot of our chalks.
So a lot of these are old spoil heaps and such.
Which gives it all these different aspects.
Hi,
when
Susie.
the sun comes round,
I can see the cows are in that bush. Should we track down the cows for Robert? They're in those trees there.
Let's go around that way. So a lot of our chalk grassland sites are on very steep banks. A lot of them are on the north-facing slope of the downs because that tends to be the steepest bit. But when you've got a site like this with all these lumps and bumps, it means you've got some of the very important south-facing slopes, which are a lot warmer because they get the full force of the sun on them. There's some more Chalkhill blues. There's loads here. It's a good day to come out for Chalkhill blues, actually. Peak of the season.
So we've come a bit higher because it's a bit cooler.
It's cooler up here, a bit of a breeze.
So we've got a bit of a breeze, so hopefully we'll keep hold of you this time. So apologies for the technical hiccups. Hopefully you can see the cows.
Squinancy work.
Yeah, look, it's this Squinancy work down here. It's a very chalk grassland plant. It's the smallest plant with the biggest name.
Squinancy work.
Squinancy work.
If you look down this bank, look, it's just alive with butterflies. There's loads of Chalkhill blues. So Chalkhill blues are not a common species, but on a site that's like this, which is a really good chalk grassland site, you can get them in really high numbers.
Like at Friston Forest, where they have that field behind the forest. We saw like thousands and thousands in one day, didn't we?
Occasionally you get years when there's an explosion of them, and you can get many thousands on a site.
Hopefully Robert's still with us, who wanted to see the cows, because there they are.
The cows, they're under the tree, the one tree that was left.
Hello, moose. They know it's too hot. They're under the tree. It's definitely warm.
There's some mating 6-spot bonnets, look. I'll film that without interrupting them.
Coitus interruptus. So those are the 6-spot bonnets that we saw earlier. Hi Chris, hi Susie. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? It's alive. It's absolutely alive with butterflies and moths.
Yeah, there's loads of this bonnets everywhere. Look, all buzzing around over here. Well, not buzzing. I don't have to make a buzzing noise.
Yes, I think you'll find that's factually incorrect.
The moths tend to have very, very fast wing beat. You can see this one flying here, or maybe you can't. But the wings are just a blur. So they're beating their wings at thousands of times a minute. Whereas a butterfly tends to flutter.
Like a flutterby.
And they've got much slower wing beats. So when you film it, sometimes it freezes it, doesn't it? There's a 6-spot bonnet there.
We've got a little ladybird.
Oh, this is really rather nice.
It's rather nice.
This is good recovery.
Rather hot.
chalk grassland here. I think there's a bit of scrub here before. You can see it's turning into really lovely flowery.
Yeah, the Wildlife Trust grazing is actually working really well. So big up the Wildlife Trust, who've done a great job. Look at these dwarf thistles, they're cool.
Dwarf thistles are great. They don't have a stem. The flower comes directly out of the rosette of leaves, which I'm not going to touch because they're very spiky.
You'll know if you found one because usually you sit on it.
Usually sit on it. And it's not a flower. If you're looking for one, just sit down.
Like this.
We're looking for a few specialists now. We're up here on the chalk, on the archaic chalk grassland. So this has never been ploughed up, never had agricultural treatment of any sort. It's not had fertiliser or pesticides put on it. This is a totally natural ecosystem, and there's, if you look at this, you can see all the different shaped leaves. There's hundreds of species of plant. You can get up to 50 in a square metre, but hundreds of species of plant that actually live here. The anthills are obviously crucial as well. And so they're all in balance. None of them manage to outcompete each other. So they're all these sort of low-growing plants that are nibbled away by the sheep and the cows, and they form this dense sward, we call it. Now this is a quite tightly grazed sward. It's quite low, which means it gets really hot at ground level. And a lot of these specialist butterflies really need that. They need some of them need a ground temperature of like 20 degrees. Before they can successfully do their stuff. One of those that we've seen lots of today is the Chalkhill blue, which you only get in this habitat. There's two in front of me here. One just landed on the path there. They seem to be closing their wings when they land, which is a shame, because if it was cooler they might open their wings a bit.
On
They tend to close their wings as soon as they land. But when they're flying around, you get this pale blue colour to them, and that's the only butterfly that you'll see up on the chalk, which has that pale blue colour. The other blue butterflies you might see here are common blue, which is a more purpley blue colour, and the Adonis blue, which is a kind of azure blue colour. That's how you tell the difference. And I'd hope we would see some Adonis up here as well. Just coming into their season for their second brood. The Chalkhill blues only have one brood, and you need to come and catch them at this time of year, end of July, beginning of August. Oh, what's that? Is that a dark green fritillary just sped past around the back of that bush?
You're saying get in the bush?
He went round the back of the bush. Get in the bush and cool down a bit. It's before the phone overheats.
Yeah, Steve. Hi, Steve. Your site's too hot.
Is Steve there?
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting us, Steve. We're enjoying it ourselves up here. The cattle look happy. They're in the shade of that tree.
It's just beautiful, isn't it? I never get bored of looking at chalk grassland. It's just every time it's different. Come on, butterflies.
There's a marbled white coming towards you, just here. That's not a chalk specialist by any means, but it's a butterfly that you'll find in flower-rich environments.
There's quite a nice bramble patch here, which is good.
Skipper here. Small skipper or Essex skipper. There's two of these very tiny skippers, little orange, golden-coloured skippers. Can you see that there? Oh, there it goes. Oh.
I was just kneeling into a thistle without complaining or anything there, just to film that skipper. Yeah.
Very brave.
I'm a big brave girl.
They look very similar, and the only way to tell the difference between your Essex skipper and your small skipper is that the underside of the end of the antennae is black on an Essex skipper, so you have to get quite a good view of it. You
have to look from sort of underneath and in front, don't you?
Yeah.
Which, actually, they're quite obliging, aren't they?
They can be. The Essex skipper and the small skipper can be found in the same place, but the Essex skipper does tend to like the chalk, the alkali conditions on the chalk, so can be the
up here
predominant
we get,
species.
silver spotted skipper as well.
I'm looking forward to seeing the silver spotted skipper. I'm sure we're going to get one.
Yeah.
Where they tend to be in colonies, so we'll just have to...
We'll do our best for you folks. If you want to sit still, Mr. Blue, that would be really helpful. Got your wings out.
We have Chalkhill blue here in good numbers today, and they can be in quite high numbers. There's one with its wings open down there.
Everyone's saying they're out of breath just watching us. Yeah, it is quite steep. Mooling Down has steep bits and flat bits, and you can take it at your own pace. Thoroughly recommend coming and having a look at the butterflies, even if you don't feel like you're fit enough. You can take your time.
We as rangers are experts at walking slowly.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what's that?
It's years of training. Very good at walking really slowly.
You have to pretend you've seen something interesting and then you can stop. No, there's lots of stuff going on. But you can go all the way up there, up to the top there. This is Green Pit that we're at the moment. And if you went all the way up to the top, you can go out onto the field, and then it's onto the golf course. So that's another way in. So there's several ways onto Mooling Down.
So the blue butterflies are fascinating. They only live on the chalk grassland, both the Chalkhill blue and the Adonis blue.
Hi Mark, we can't actually film on Facebook in landscape mode because we won't be able to see the comments, so we have to do it in portrait, I'm afraid. Carry on, Tim, sorry.
So both the food plant for the caterpillar of the Chalkhill blue and the Adonis blue is horseshoe vetch, which is it's not in flower now. This is bird's foot trefoil, but it's got these little yellow pea-shaped flowers a bit like that. This is bird's foot trefoil, which they will nectar from, but it's not a food plant. And so that plant only grows here, the horseshoe vetch.
Not here.
And so
it grows other places.
Well, it grows not just in Mooling Down, no. on good chalk grassland sites.
It's like that's a bit niche.
So they are restricted to places where horseshoe vetch grows. So that's what they lay their eggs on. That's what the caterpillars eat. And they also have a symbiotic relationship with the ants. So you can see look across there, and you can see that there's ant hills in here. Whether there are actually different species that produce the ant hills, I think. So the ones that have a symbiotic relationship with.
Is it yellow ants that you want?
There's two species that they have a symbiotic relationship with. I can't remember their names. Got some Latin names, scientific names. But so the way that works is they lay the egg on the horseshoe vetch, and then that hatches, and the caterpillar comes out and starts eating at the leaf that it's been laid on, and it's only like about 1 millimetre long. So it's very, very vulnerable to other things eating it. There's a lot of insects in here, and a lot of predatory insects which would munch on a tiny Adonis blue or Chalkhill blue caterpillar quite happily. But they've got a little trick. They have ants to protect them. So why do the ants protect the Chalkhill blue butterfly caterpillar? Well, because the caterpillar produces a sugary substance out of a hole near its bottom, and the ants eat it. So they go, oh, this is nice, and they look after the little caterpillar in return for being fed this sugary substance, which they like.
It's all very clever, isn't it? That evolution's managed.
So they protect it from attack. So the caterpillars, depending which species, either feed it during the day or at night time, and they'll have attendant ants looking after them all that time. And then the Adonis feeds during the day, and the Chalkhill blue feeds at night. And then when they're finished feeding, they go into the ant's nest or into the ground or onto the ground, and the ants cover them up and hide them and look after them. And then when they come out again, they again are an attendant army protecting them from attack. And so this goes on until the caterpillar is big enough to pupate. The ants are absolutely loving it because they get loads of sugary drink from it. and then the caterpillar wants to turn into a butterfly, and so it goes onto the ground and the ants cover it up and it turns into a chrysalis, and it can even be taken into the ant's nest and then pupate there. It takes a week or two to turn into the adult and then emerges. So sometimes when you see the adults emerging, they'll have ants on them still. When they're in the ant's nest though, it's quite, ants don't like foreign creatures coming into their nest and will attack them. So another way that it protects itself from attack from the ants is to sing to the ants.
Like a bit of Brittany?
They actually make a noise that sounds like ants, and the ants recognise it as being one of their own. Do
they sing "Stand and Deliver"?
I haven't heard them do Adamant. I think I've heard them do Phil Collins.
Oh really? Which one? I can hear I think you made that bit up, folks.
No,
right.
I've got to admit, I've never heard a caterpillar sing, probably because it's well out of the range of human hearing. But that's what they do.
I'm imagining it's sort of like harps and like angels singing. That's what it's like in my head.
So
you can see lots of bare chalk up there.
This,
also good. What are we looking for?
Blue.
Silver studded
blue. Silver spotted blue. No, what am I talking about? Silver studded blue.
Silver spotted skipper.
Silver spotted skipper. Silver studded blue is another blue butterfly, but you only get them on heathlands. They're a very rare butterfly as well, and you can see them in the South Downs, but not on the chalk. They're over
in our heath area, aren't they?
I've mixed up the names. Silver
spotted studded skipper.
Silver. It's not studded. It's spotted skipper.
I'm just messing with you.
I've seen them before. I think maybe if we go around the corner, we might find some.
I think maybe down in that little slope,
Yeah.
just down here. I think we'll try there. Unless Steve's got some sort of secret location he can pass to us, if he's still listening.
Apparently, this site is the best in the UK for silver spotted skipper, but we haven't seen it.
Itford Hill's good as well.
Oh.
So we're going down this nice steep path now. What have we seen?
Jan nearly stepped on a chalk.
Am I murdering butterflies as I scroll? So it should be a bit cooler down next to this hedge. Still got some orchids out. But...
Oh yeah. That pyramidal orchid you have there?
Looks like it. So sometimes pyramidals aren't very pyramidal at all.
Well, they're never pyramid shaped, are they? They're kind of like cone shaped.
They're sort of cone shaped. But their leaves spiral round the stem, which is a bit of a giveaway.
Oh, wow.
So straight down.
Not straight down.
Hang on to your hats.
I'll just go slowly
So we're just going to traverse down this slope. I'll put Tim in front so that if I fall, I've got soft landing.
Okay. Just don't break the camera.
So that's Ringmer over there, and that's Glyndebourne wind turbine, if you can see that far.
Oh, there's a big chalk pit there, look.
Yeah, that's Bridgewick Pit. It's absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah, I saw silver spotted skippers over the other side there. I mean, they should be.
I think I've seen them on this slope.
Have you? Well, let's have a look down here.
So, Susie's asking, any white ones? Yeah, we started with some white ones, Susie.
There's some white ones down the bottom, yeah.
Were you talking about cows?
White cows.
We've also seen white cows. Just look at all those lovely undulations from all the spoil heaps. I must look where I'm going.
You had to spoil it, didn't you?
What? Looking where I'm going.
No spoil heap.
Oh,
Was it fun?
it's a joke.
Some marbled whites. There's another gatekeeper. Look at that thistle there. Then.
Oh yeah, Carline thistle.
Carline thistle.
We've got a lovely Carline thistle here, which doesn't look very much, but they're pretty special on the chalk downland. So they don't look pink and fluffy like most thistles. And the butterflies love them, don't they? Got some more Scrinancy wort here. Tiny, tiny.
Harebells on this bit.
Oh, harebells. We like a bit of harebell.
Kind of nod in the breeze. Look at this little clump here.
There you go, there's a nice harebell with a bit of artistic background. This bit's absolutely full of ladies' bedstraw, harebells, dwarf thistles, round-headed rampion by the ton.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Very nice.
Here you've got a nice anthill with thyme, harebells and squinantia and bedstraw. So anthills are great, they have their own little microclimates because they're basically a slope, aren't they? Round.
This is a microclimate on microclimate, isn't it?
Yeah, microclimate on microclimate on microclimate.
You've got some basic bit there, and then you've got one basic bit here, and then you've got all the
Flowers everywhere. Bit of the arrow.
Oh, it's hot,
Lost
isn't
the
it?
butterflies for now. There's some over here.
It's really strong, yeah.
Oh, white pyramidal orchids. No, Susie, you're the only one I know with a white pyramidal orchid.
No, I haven't seen one of those today.
She's just showing off because at North Coombe Forest Garden they've got a white pyramidal orchid.
I saw one the other day. Where was that? I can't remember where it was. Let's see that.
Can't resist the rampion. Marbled white. So yeah, you don't have to come down that steep bit, you can go a different way, so don't feel worried about that. We're being adventurous, we're just showing off. Butterfly lands on the path in front of me, and then it flew off. Centauri.
Pink one, where's that? I saw that.
No, I literally just saw it and now I can't see it.
Oh, I'll find another one.
Don't know where I was looking when I said it.
I see some over there.
Oh, here's some.
Oh yeah.
Little pink one. Common Centauri.
You'll notice I've got my camera with me today.
I hadn't noticed. It's very discreet.
The hood makes it look a little bit bigger than it is, this lens. This is my macro lens that I got last year, which I'm quite pleased with. It's 180mm, which is, if you want to photograph butterflies, that's kind of a good size lens to get.
What was it, 180?
Yeah, because it means that you can get a frame filling shot without having to get so close that you startle the butterfly.
Whee! Chocolate blues.
I've got a digital single lens reflex, it's called DSLR. So I look through the icons like this, Jan, and I'm looking through the lens. The lens, what I'm seeing is exactly what the lens is seeing, which is really useful. And I find it nice because I spend a lot of time photographing birds and butterflies and staring through this lens. So I like the fact that I can be looking at what I'm photographing as if I was looking through a telescope or a pair of binoculars, just looking straight through the glass rather than looking at an image that's on a little tiny screen. So people are moving towards mirrorless cameras and the technology is incredible.
Another 6-spot bonnet. Common as muck, these 6 spots. Kathy's saying thank you because she can no longer walk the South Downs. So we're doing it for her. We're happy to do that for you, Kathy.
Yeah, especially on a day like today.
It's really no bother.
No problem. Look, this little sunken bit here. It's got loads of Chalkhill blues in it, and some Gatekeepers. Like I said earlier, the Gatekeepers like the sort of edge habitat, sort of along the edges of the bushes, at the bottom of the bushes. They tend to patrol, and they are territorial. So that's where they get their name, the Gatekeeper, because often they'll just protect a little patch and see off all comers, whether they're other Gatekeeper butterflies or other species of butterfly, and then watch out for passing females, which they'll. Oh look! Here's two mating. Look, two Chalkhill blues on this bed straw here. So this is interesting. We get to see a female now, so we can compare the colour of the underside of the wing. They're not going to open their wings while they're like that, unless they fly off, because they're so startled by your presence.
I am right in there.
You're a little bit invasive.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it'd be better in landscape mode. Unfortunately, with Facebook, you have if we want to see the comments that come up and all the questions you ask, we have to film it in portrait mode. The comments and questions don't come up if we do it in landscape, so that's why we're doing it in portrait. So I realised it would be better. The
background colour of the female on the right there is darker, sort of a beigey colour, and the male is sort of a bit more grey background colour. When you see her flying with her wings open as well, much darker upper wing too.
Brown, isn't she?
There you go. He's mating away there and passing on those minerals that he got from the poo earlier as well.
All my genes.
With some sperm. So
that's good.
Go off and find a bit of horseshoe vetch to lay her eggs on. Well, they'll need to mature for a little bit first, an hour or two. I think it doesn't take very long, and then she starts laying the eggs. So the egg will hatch in not very long, a few days I think, after it's laid, and the tiny caterpillar is about 1 millimetre long. Now, like all insects, as they grow, they have to shed their skin to get bigger, and they'll go through about 3 stages of this and get a little bit bigger each time, and then they'll overwinter as a larvae.
Like the hungry caterpillar.
And then when it's warm enough again in the spring, they start coming out of dormancy. It's incredible that they can actually survive the winter as this really vulnerable, tiny, soft-bodied insect, little worm-type thing. But they go into this state of dormancy and spend all winter, and they could be covered in snow and be totally frozen, and they manage to survive well enough. In fact, the cold is quite good. If you have long, warm, damp winters, they're not so good, and actually the caterpillars can actually go mouldy and die, which isn't very nice.
It's not a great end, is it? After all that effort.
So that can affect numbers, and then the caterpillar comes to life again when it's a little bit warmer and starts eating horseshoe vetch as that grows. And until it gets big enough to turn into an adult again, which for the Chalkhill blue is sort of towards the end of July. Everything this year has been late.
Yeah.
All the butterflies, all the people I know who go out looking for butterflies have commented that everything seems to be about 2 weeks late.
Because we had that really cold,
sort of
horrible spring.
Cold, wet. Well, we had that.
Had a nice bit,
April,
didn't we?
Which was cold and absolutely dry, no rain at all. And then we had May, June, July, where it just rained the whole time. It wasn't very warm.
This is where I saw the silver-spotted skippers before.
Did you? You saw them here before?
Not right now, no. Sorry, I got you excited then, didn't I?
Oh, there's a Chalkhill blue, fanning its wings open. Want to see if you can get it with its wings open? Just on this Marjoram here.
Yeah.
That in shot.
Depends on my stealth skills.
They've got that's a lovely fresh one actually. You can see the white border is still really clean and not tatty at all. And it closes its wings because the cloud came over. Actually, that should make it open its wings. They tend to, if you shade them, they will sometimes open their wings, but it's closed its wings, I think, because it can detect danger.
I'm not dangerous.
Jan's phone is not a predator.
Open your wings. We are friends. Right. Well, hopefully you got a glimpse of that anyway. They're very pretty.
They're the same colour as your jeans. Show them your jeans. But if you see a pale blue butterfly on the downs, that's the Chalkhill.
It's got that sort of dark and then white edge as well, hasn't it?
If it's a purpley blue colour, it could be a common blue, and if it's a sort of electric,
if it's like wow blue,
then it's an Adonis blue. But I haven't seen any other blue butterflies except that one.
No.
That species. Not that one. There's hundreds of them here today. Well, I've only seen the one species so far, a blue butterfly. The other blue butterfly you get in this country, which is very common, is the holly blue. And you'll get that in your garden. As the name suggests, their food plant is holly, but also ivy. They have two stages. One brood lays their eggs on ivy, and one brood lays their eggs on holly. So you need holly and ivy for it to complete its life cycle. So that's why they're quite common along hedges and in people's gardens, because you have those species there. And they tend to fly around the top of bushes rather than in grassland like this.
Yeah, they wouldn't fly around here, would they?
But that's another common blue butterfly that you see, often quite an early one as well.
That's a definite one for your garden, isn't it, rather than a chalk downland site? So if you see a blue in your garden, it's either going to be a common blue or a holly blue.
I mean, common blue is unlikely in most people's gardens, unless you've specifically got like quite a large bit of meadow that you've created. You're not likely to get common blue in your garden, or you back onto a grassy, flowery habitat. If you see a blue in your garden, it's almost certainly a holly blue. And the common blue, as its name suggests, is more common, although it's not super common.
We haven't talked about the small blue.
We haven't talked about the small blue. Oh yeah,
we missed out a blue.
We haven't seen any kidney vetch, which is their food plant.
Yeah, there should be some.
Yeah, that's another chalk grassland species.
It's another one you won't find in your garden.
Another one you won't find in your garden. Well, you might do, because they can have like quite discrete colonies. So if you grow some kidney vetch,
yeah,
your luck could be in. And
I'm trying it. I'm growing kidney vetch.
Are you? I've got some as well. I bought some. Well, I didn't buy it actually. I just.
What, you stole it?
I donated it. Oh look, here's some yellow rattle. Jan, that's worth having a look at while we're here. This plant here is a yellow rattle. Can you hear it rattling? It rattles. So this has got a yellow flower, but the flowers have gone over, and these dried seed pods have got little seeds in that rattle. Isn't that clever? Look, there's a yellow flower. Look,
it's a great meadow maker, isn't it? It parasitises the grass.
It's semi-parasitic on the grasses, so it tends to suppress the grasses.
Got quaking grass here as well.
And that means that other herbaceous flowers have a chance to come up, because the grasses tend to be the most dominant species if they're given the chance. So yellow rattle's quite good if you're creating a meadow or a flower-rich verge or something. A bit of yellow rattle's good, but the important thing is to get the nutrient levels down. The really important
lovely little eyebright in there.
What are you looking at?
It's a nice eyebright.
Oh, eyebright. That's quite a nice one, isn't it? Chalk grassland. The soil that you get growing on chalk is very thin. Look, if you look at this patch, like, that soil is very thin and doesn't hold, a lot of nutrients, and it will go to the chalk very quickly. It's only like an inch or two thick. So that means that no one plant can grow really strongly. If there were lots of nutrients in it, one plant would become dominant and would grow up very strong and outcompete all the others. But because there's so few nutrients and they're all battling for it, that's why you get this incredible array of all these dozens and dozens of species of flowers and grasses, because none of them can actually get away and outcompete the others. So you end up with this balance. I mean, it's taken thousands of years of evolution for these plants to balance out and form this habitat. But it does rely on a really low nutrients. So it's very, very important to look after these sites, because we have lost a lot of them in the second half of the 20th century. we started ploughing up large areas of land, and we'd invented artificial fertilisers, and these were put on the fields to either make the crop grow or to make the grass grow that then the animals would eat. And what that did was bring up the nutrient levels in the soil, and meant that only the grass or the crop grew, and afterwards you lost all this diversity. Exactly. So we spend a lot of time trying to look after these sites. Well, and Sussex Wildlife Trust are doing a good job of keeping this in good condition. Because the other thing is that a lot of these sites that did remain are not grazed very strongly because they're nutrient poor. The animals don't get fat off the stuff that they're eating there as quickly as they will if they're put on a field which has got grass growing very strongly because it's got fertiliser on it. And so the animals get fat quickly. I mean, that fertiliser is created by burning fossil fuels, which fix nitrogen in the chemical reaction. So we're supplementing our food by inputting fossil fuels into it in the form of fertiliser, whether that's the crop growing, the grass growing, and the cattle eating it.
The cattle that graze here are a conservation herd that belong to the Wildlife Trust.
And they've chosen the breed.
Their job, yeah, a native breed.
A native breed, which is hardier, doesn't have to have, a very rich diet. They don't have to grow as quickly. The Sussex Wildlife Trust, their main reason for having the cattle here is to look after this chalk grassland, not to produce...
They're basically four-legged rangers.
Not to produce a product to sell, although they will, no doubt, produce some meat at the end. But they can't compete with commercial beef farmers because they can produce the beef so much quicker when they're relying on fertilised feed for them.
Well,
and they won't be fed any additional feed here either. You don't bring any other stuff for them to eat from anywhere else. So no silage or grain is fed to these cattle. They're only going to be eating the grass that's on the chalk grassland. And very good they are at that. And the way they chew and munch the grass creates a good habitat in itself, because the cow gets its big tongue, wraps it around a bit of vegetation like this and rips it out, and so all the time it's grazing, it's creating diversity in the habitat, and it might choose one plant over another, and also it's trampling around and causing these little bare patches. And then it's doing this as well. Quite an old cow pat here, which is being broken down by quite a lot of creatures.
Green Pit and the Coombe are the best areas for the skipper. Too late, Steve. We're down again now.
Oh.
Well, we've been jabbering on for an hour.
Have we? Have we done an hour already? We've got to find silver spotted skipper. I saw them up here before.
So we'll keep going until you all drop off, I guess.
What time is it? Oh, it's 2 o'clock. God, I've only just started. I could talk about butterflies, but it seems for longer than an hour.
Yeah. It's a bit early for silver potted whatsits. Steve Tillman. It's a bit early for silver potted whatsits.
Silver spotted skipper. I've seen them. I saw some last week. This week I saw some.
Alright, this isn't a place for an argument.
On Wednesday. Or was it Tuesday? Saw some Tuesday morning over in Jevington.
Different climate.
Yeah. It is a very hot spot actually, that particular site I went to, which I'm very excited about because it's coming along really well. And silver spotted skipper is really does like it hot. So where you've got these hot spots, I'm hopeful that we can get another butterfly, which we have on the chalk, which is called greyling, but it only lives in one place at the moment near Wilmington. So I'm trying to get other sites that are very hot into good condition so that maybe it will disperse there.
So we'll go for a little scamper over this side and see if we can see anything.
We've got everyone excited about them now. We have to try and find one. did see them up here once. Last year, I think.
So we're now back at the sort of Ringmer end of Malling.
So what we're looking for is a really tiny
Silver spotted
light
skipper.
brown butterfly. We have marbled white, we have meadow brown. We have two marbled whites chasing each other there. Ooh. Look at that. That collide with me.
It's a Gatekeeper.
So I'm hoping, because I saw silver spotted skipper here before, I'll see them here again, because they tend to be quite localised and form discrete colonies. There's them around here, so let's hope we find one.
Doesn't feel as hot over here. Oh, the sun's gone in. Here's a bumblebee. We've got a little red-tailed bumblebee. Had a red-tailed bumblebee. Well, I've lost Tim over a hill. Are you making that up?
No.
Okay, thanks.
No, but it's a small skipper, not a
See, I just asked if you were making it up.
No, I saw a skipper.
You wait till I run up the steps.
There's two small skippers, or Essex skippers. Like I said, you have to look at the underside of the antennae. This one. A small skipper, I think. Oh, that was,
well,
that
I
was
think,
nearly well timed, isn't it? But,
I think you have failed the people.
I have failed on the silver spotted skipper, haven't I?
But we've seen quite a few butterflies.
There's another skipper there.
So if you're out and about over the next few weeks, up until about the 8th of August, you can do the Butterfly Conservation's Big Butterfly Count, which I'm just unravelling now. So we've seen Brimstone, Marbled White, Gatekeeper, Ringlet, Meadow Brown. Didn't see a Specklewood, didn't see a Small Copper. Peacock we've seen, Six Spot Bonnet, Silver Wye. We had a Jersey Tiger in the moth trap this morning. So yeah, have a go at it. Wherever you're spending your weekend, just take 15 minutes and do a big butterfly count. And exhaust like Tim.
You don't have to run around.
We've broken Tim. So thank you very much for tuning in. And it's goodbye from a very, very hot morning down. And thank you, big up the Sussex Wildlife Trust for letting us wander aimlessly around your site. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.